Hey traders and investors, welcome back to part 2 of our Swing Trading for Beginners series that we're doing here on the channel. If you're brand new to swing trading, you might want to start off with part number 1 if you haven't already. So make sure to check that video out. It's going to be linked down below in the description. However, here in part 2, we're going to start talking about some swing trading strategies themselves. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into the first strategy. Now, this is a strategy that I've used myself to make many profitable swing trades. And we've used it in the Market Master group, so I know other traders have followed along and have made profits from this strategy as well. And the whole idea behind this strategy is if a company insider, like a CEO for example, were to buy or sell shares of their company, in order for that insider to not get into legal trouble, they have to publicly show when they're buying or selling their stock. So what we can do is we can look for these filings that show us where they're buying and where they're selling, and we can simply follow along with the big money. So we can find these CEOs that are loading up on their stock, and we can do the same thing because at the end of the day, the CEO knows more about the company than probably anyone else. So it's a very bullish sign if the CEO is loading up on shares of the stock. Now, in order to do this, the way that I like to go about it is to go over to FinViz. This is a website with a bunch of free tools that we can use as traders. And then we're just going to go ahead and click on Insider up here. After that, I like to filter this down to only the buy transactions. And from here, we can see the latest insider trading activity. You can see the symbol for the stock, the name of the person or the institution that is behind the transaction, the relationship to the company, whether they are a CEO, a 10% shareholder, a director, and so on and so forth. You'll see the date of the transaction, whether it was a buy or a sell, the cost that they bought or sold at, the number of shares, the value in dollars, and the total number of shares that that person or that institution now holds in the stock. Okay, so for me, I really like to look for the bigger transactions here because, obviously if a CEO is buying any amount of shares, that is a bullish sign for the stock, but if they're putting millions of dollars into their stock, obviously they have a little bit more conviction than someone that is maybe just putting a few $1,000s into their stock. So what I'm going to do is just go down and look at the value section here. The value column is going to, again, tell us how much money this insider is pouring into the stock. So right here, we can see there was a $5 million buy for the stock UTRS at the price of 20 cents. So if we were to click on UTRS, we could see the price is already up almost 100% from that buy area. It was at 20 cents. It's already at about 40 cents. So there's a good potential that we already kind of missed the move there. But I'll just go through this and, look for these bigger transactions, click on the charts, look for a chart setup that looks promising. And then from there, that stock is going to be a potential swing trade. Okay, so I found a solid example here that I wanted to just break down a little bit further. This is NEE. We can see if we scroll down here, we can see the recent insider transactions. And over the past few weeks here in February, we've seen that there have been quite a few shares bought by directors and by some company insiders, all in the $73 to $74 area, some of them being a value of over $500,000. So if we pair that information with the chart here, we can see also on the chart, there is a little bit of support in this area because we can see that back in June, the price bounced from this $70 area all the way up then to a high of over $90 per share. Following that, it pulled all the way back down, again from $70 up to almost $90. Pulled all the way back, and we are back into that $70 range. So because this is a little bit of a support area, and we can see that insiders are also buying in this area, those two things together make this a great potential swing trade, and this would definitely be one that I would keep on a watch list or maybe start to slowly scale into over the next couple of weeks. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you to buy this stock right now. This is just an example, and I just wanted to show you that you want to kind of pair the insider transactions with what you see on the chart as well. Insider buys at a level of support or insider buys when a stock is strongly trending to the upside. Those are going to make great potential swing trades. All right, now the second swing trading strategy that I want to talk about in this part of this series is going to be based on earnings reports. Earnings reports are put out 4 times a year for the quarterly reports and then once a year for the annual reports, and these can have a big effect on the way a stock moves. Of course, if the earnings come back and they are negative, showing that the company's financials have gotten worse over the past quarter or over the past year, that's going to be a bearish sign for the stock. And then vice versa is also going to be true. If the earnings come back showing that the company's fundamentals and financials are growing, that is going to be a bullish sign for the stock. So what we can do is we can look at these earnings reports, and because they can ignite momentum in a stock, they can be a very good catalyst for us to follow for our swing trading. Now, if we go back over to finviz.com, we're going to be using another one of their free tools. This time we're going to click on Screener at the top. Once the screener pops up, we want to make sure that we have all selected, so that way we can see all of the criteria that we can use to filter down the market. And the first thing that I like to look for when I'm looking for this type of swing trade is that the price of the stock is going to be at least $10 per share. The next thing is that there is enough volume for us to easily get in and out of our trades. So we want to see an average volume of at least 200,000 shares. We want to look specifically for stocks in the US. And of course, because we're basing this on earnings, there has to have been a recent earnings report that was released. So under earnings date, we're going to select previous week. And this is going to narrow the entire market down to just 281 stocks. Now, to narrow this down even further, because we want to look specifically for stocks that have had a positive reaction to their recent earnings report, what we're going to do then is click on performance. And we want to see that over the past week, the stock has gone up at least 10%. Now we have a total of just 21 stocks. And if we just go through the list here, you can hover over the symbol and it's going to give you a preview of the chart. We're just going to look for stocks that are trending higher, maybe stocks that are consolidating at a level of support, maybe stocks that are breaking out on the daily chart, whatever it may be. Just like we talked about with the insider transactions and using those for our swing trades, we still want to pair as many things together in order to give our swing trade the best chance of success possible. Okay, so I went through all of these charts, and the one that I find the most promising right now out of these 21 options is actually VKTX. If we click on VKTX, just to show you what I'm looking for here on the daily chart, we can see that over the past couple of months, there was a strong move to the upside. And over the past month or so, we've seen that after that strong bullish move, the stock has actually consolidated here in the $8 per share to about $9.50 per share range. Now, because the earnings were put out over the past week, the stock was able to actually break out of that range and is now continuing to the upside. To me, this is a very bullish chart, and this is what I would want to look for when I'm doing this type of swing trade, because we are seeing a nice slow and steady increase in the price of the stock ever since the earnings were put out. And that makes for such a great swing trade because not only are we taking advantage of the company growing, the fundamentals and the financials getting stronger and stronger over a quarterly or annual basis, but we're also able to take advantage of the momentum in the underlying stock as well. And in doing so, we're able to capture 10%, 20%, 30% or more in a pretty short period of time while only risking a relatively small amount on these trades. Now, the third and final swing trading strategy that I want to talk about in this part of this Swing Trading for Beginners series is going to involve mean reversion. And the idea behind a mean reversion trading strategy is that a stock that is severely oversold is eventually going to recover and you're going to be able to capitalize on that future recovery. Now, there's a very important lesson here in this section involving this strategy, and that is that stocks can remain oversold for extended periods of time, so it is very important to allow them to actually start recovering first before you start to buy into them. And that same concept is very important to remember when it comes to cutting losses on your trades as well. A lot of inexperienced traders will get into a trade. That trade will initially go against them and they're going to be holding on to a loss. Eventually that loss will grow and grow and grow. And instead of cutting losses and managing their risk like they should, they start to think that this oversold stock has to recover in the near future because it's already gone down so much. The reality is that a stock can go down further and further and further, even if the stock is oversold. So in that case, it would be very important to cut your losses on that trade. And we're going to talk a lot about risk management and cutting losses as well as locking in profits in the next section of this series, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Now back over once again to the FinViz screener. In order to find stocks for this type of mean reversion strategy, what we're going to want to do is, again, put in an average volume of 200,000 shares. That's going to be important for pretty much any type of trading strategy. Again, I'm going to put in country as only the USA, and I want to see for this a stock price of at least $5 per share. And that's just because these very low price stocks, under $5 or under $1 per share, they can easily have a 20% or 30% move to the downside, and they're going to be much less likely to bounce back and recover in the future. Now, in order to then find these oversold stocks, there are two ways that you can go about it. You can use the performance by selecting, the stock going down maybe 30% or 50% over the past quarter or over the past month. Or you can use the RSI, which is the relative strength index. And for that, you would want the RSI to be at 30 or lower so that they would be considered oversold. I'm going to use the performance here, and I'm going to look for stocks that over the past month have gone down at least 30%. We can see that there are just 11 stocks meeting this criteria. So just going through this, we want to make sure that we're looking for stocks that have already started to recover or that are maybe at a level of support. So that way we're not buying into these stocks that are just going to continue falling and going lower and lower. So taking a look at the stocks that we got in our results, CCCC is the one that I would probably look at as the best candidate for a swing trade in order to capitalize on the mean reversion. And that's just because looking at the chart, we can see it's trading here just under $6 per share. This area has acted as support in the past, back in December of 2022, and then a little bit lower, but still in the same range back in June of 2022. So if history does repeat itself here, and this area acts as support, there would be a great chance of this stock bouncing back up, up into the $8 per share area. And simply put, that is kind of the basic idea behind swing trading that involves mean reversion in oversold stocks. Okay, so these three strategies that we talked about in this part of the series should give you an idea of what you should look for when it comes to entering into different swing trades, as well as how you can find stocks that are going to give those swing trades the best chance of being profitable. Now, in the next part of the series, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking more about how to get out of these stocks, whether that be at a profit or whether that be at a loss. Make sure you stay tuned for that part of the series because that is a crucial element to successful trading. And with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to learn more about day trading, swing trading, and long-term investing, or join us in our interactive daily trading group, more information on that can be found at my website, Master the Market, which will be linked down below in the description. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.